The winds are blowing. Feels like tech news. Alright, what's going on, dudes? My name is CTD-ROM, and welcome back to another episode of Today in Tech, where I'm giving you everything that's today in tech. I don't know what else you want from me. Oxygen OS 11 has recently entered beta, and customers don't seem to be too happy about it. It might prove to be the biggest overhaul the third-party skin has seen for a long time, with new animations and a whole new UI layout. And customers seem to think that this goes against OnePlus's former principle of taking the stock Google experience and just making it a bit better with little OnePlus add-ons. A lot of people who are in the beta seem to share the opinion that OnePlus has gone too far with this update, too far with the changes, and it's sort of looking like Samsung's One UI skin had a child with the stock Google skin, and that child is this brand new OnePlus skin. Whether or not OnePlus will listen to customer feedback and make the changes people are asking for remains to be seen. I haven't gotten the beta on my OnePlus 7 Pro yet, but as soon as I do, I'll make sure to let you know how that experience goes. And the China-based company Xiaomi has reportedly made the first ever transparent TV. Now, we've seen these before at trade shows and such. I believe there's the last Tech Tip video about it. But this is the first TV that you could go out and buy for the low price of $7,200. I don't get why you would ever want a transparent TV. Like, while you're watching TV, you also want to see the wall behind you? Like, wouldn't that be distracting? Despite it being transparent, though, it does seem to be a decent TV. A 55-inch OLED with 120Hz refresh rate seems pretty awesome to me. You could even game on it if you want, depending on how the latencies are. It doesn't seem that they've given those specs out yet. And Xiaomi claims it has 150,000 to 1 contrast ratio. But again, these are all claims. Whether or not that's actually true remains to be seen when the TV officially gets into people's hands. And for what could be a huge shakeup in the CPU industry, Huawei claims it's made a 24-core CPU that runs faster than Intel's 8-core Core i9-9900K. Now, no reports on comparisons to AMD SKUs, but that would make it one of the fastest consumer chips on the market right now, as the 9900K and the 10900K are sort of the go-to for the highest end of gaming, along with the 3950X from AMD. It is built on the ARM Neoverse N1 microarchitecture. I don't know what that is. Which can be scaled up to 64 cores. Right now, some of the 64 cores on the market are the Threadripper, I think it's the 3990X, and the EPYC line of CPUs from AMD. Where some of my reservations come in for this CPU is its clocks. It has a base clock of 2.4 gigahertz and a boost clock of 2.8. And while, yes, the extra cores would give it an advantage, Intel still can hold that 5 gigahertz overclock over AMD and CPU, so it remains to be seen what direct comparisons will be like if the CPU were to ever make its market. And the RTX 30 series news just keeps rolling in. While Nvidia is still teasing users on Twitter during their 21-year countdown, all the way to April 31st, going through a different year from 1999 to 2020, doing a different year each day, more leaks have come out about their Series 3000 graphics cards. Reportedly, they will be launching in 24, 20, and 10 gigabyte variants. Nvidia decided to drop the 16 gigabit variant, meaning the highest end 16 gigabit graphics card out there will be published from AMD, but based off of early showings, a 10 gigabit Nvidia card will be highly competitive with what Big Navi has to offer. Reportedly, the next generation Titan will be coming out with 24 gigabytes of RAM, followed by the 3080 Ti with 20 and the 3080 with 10 gigabytes. But, of course, these are all just rumors and speculations, and we'll have to wait till the 1st of September when Nvidia officially makes their announcement for the graphics cards. And unfortunately for Google Play Music members, the app will be shutting down very soon. Starting in late August, users will no longer be able to purchase, upload, or download music. In October, residents of the US will no longer be able to stream from the app. And by the end of October, if you haven't found a new service yet, Google will automatically cancel your subscription. And in more AMD news, this just seems to keep coming in. Samsung and AMD might be teaming up to make a phone processor? More likely than you think. Samsung would be teaming up with both AMD and ARM to make this processor. Now, this should offer significantly greater CPU and GPU performance than what is offered today. Traditionally, Qualcomm's Snapdragon series has beaten the ever-living shit out of the Exynos series from Samsung. But with this collaboration, getting AMD and ARM to work on it could be a new thing for Samsung and could upset the mobile CPU market, sort of like AMD did the Intel and the desktop CPU market, coming up behind Qualcomm and tell them, why are you forcing all your manufacturers to put 5G chips into your phones, making the phones more expensive? Why? And if these rumors were to come to pass, next year's Samsung phones, Snapdragon's only competitor really has been Apple with their A series of chips, but let's be honest, that's probably not going to catch on. If AMD, ARM, and Samsung could make a chip that's faster than the Apple chips, that would be awesome, but Apple has continued to prove its dominance in this regard. And the leaks just keep on rolling with our final two stories of the day, the first of which being a myriad of Google Pixel 5 leaks. Now, just off the release of the Google Pixel 4a for, I think it was around $350, which, let's do a full stop real quick. You get a full screen hole punch, but still pretty full screen display, looking that good with Google's cameras and first party software and everything for $350? Not bad, Google. I've never really been a fan of the Pixel line of phones, as I think they are, like Apple, overpriced as all hell, but these mid-range budget phones, I think, are where Google really shine, bringing that really great hardware down. Bringing that really great hardware down to a lower price. Bringing that really great hardware down to a lower price range, making some of the compromises you normally have to make with Pixel make sense. But the leaks for these upcoming Google phones are sort of strange. You would think it would have a Snapdragon 865, but it's not. It's going to have a Snapdragon 756G, a last gen processor. Now, reportedly, you shouldn't be able to tell much difference between the Snapdragon 756G and the Snapdragon 865, but from a marketing standpoint, some users may not buy it just because it has that lower processor. And with options like the OnePlus Nord and others out there, even Apple's own iPhone SE offering superior processors, it will be interesting to see how many units they can move, as neither the 3 or the 4 lasted a year. They were both discontinued before the 1-year anniversary came up for both those phones. To put that in comparison, Apple is still selling iPhone Xs, and OnePlus is still selling OnePlus 7 Pros. And I think you can even grab a 6T off their website when it's in stock. Now, one motive behind the Pixel 5 using a lower... Now, one motive behind the Pixel 5 using a lesser... Now, one motive the Pixel 5 using a slower processor could be are to bring prices down, as that's been a big criticism of not just the Pixel phone series, but all Google hardware being overpriced for what it is. Specifically, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, they're Chromebooks. Now, I get if you buy a $200, $300 Chromebook, that makes sense. But why are you buying a $1,400 Chromebook? You can't do it. You could buy a Surface Pro, which I can't hold up in front of the camera because it'll unplug my microphone. But you could buy a Surface Pro with the latest Intel processor, a touch screen. You could even get a keyboard and a spanking pen to go along with it, with, I don't know, a desktop software, an actual desktop software like Windows. Why would you get a Chromebook instead? You could also go for a MacBook, which aren't really my thing, but I could see why people would want it. I use Mac OS in school on the Mac Pros that we have there. But I just don't get why you would buy a Chromebook. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent that I probably shouldn't have gone down. The point is, using a slower processor would allow Google to drop prices, which then could make the purchase more compelling when going up against some of their competitors like the iPhone and even some of their Android competitors like OnePlus and Samsung. And to close out this story, something rather surprising that I hadn't really been following, but more leaks coming out that Intel's first high-end Xe dedicated GPUs could be coming out sooner than we think. As soon as 2021. These cards would be aimed at the enthusiast gaming market, which could put them at direct competition with Nvidia and AMD's upcoming cards. But with a launch date in 2021, I don't know how many people are going to be buying it no matter how good it is. And considering it's coming from Intel, I think pricing is going to be a very, very, very big concern. Because if they're not offering a competitive price to performance even to Nvidia, no one's gonna buy it. And reportedly, these cards are rumored to support hardware-accelerated ray tracing, meaning that all three next-generation cards will have some sort of ray tracing with both Nvidia and AMD. Reportedly, obviously, Nvidia launched it with last year's RTX 20. Obviously, Nvidia launched it last year with the RTX 20 series, and AMD is rumored to be bringing real-time ray tracing to their big Navi cards that will be launching later this year. But we'll just have to wait to see until the graphics card launches because a lot of it is relatively unknown. And while we do know that it will have Now we do know that it will have 4096 cores on the flagship chip. None of the specs mean anything until it's actually tried and tested in the real world. But other than that, this has been the tech news, and the winds seem to have stopped shifting. Come back Saturday for more tech news. Come back Saturday for some more tech news, and make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram. Links will be in the description below. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want some more of that delicious tech news. But with that, my name is CTD Rom, and I'll see you in the next one. This is how you wear a mask, right? This is how you do it.